Should you buy now with little competition, or wait until interest rates are lower? That's the big question we've been getting from a lot of clients over these past couple of weeks, especially now that the media is talking about how the US Federal Reserve is lowering interbank rates and how that's going to affect mortgage rates. But really, what should you do when you have a specialist by your side? What is the advice you need to hear? What is the advice you really need to keep in mind to know if it's the right time or not? These two factors are fundamental because they're pitting inventory against interest rates. In other words, your monthly payment versus the house of your dreams. Remember, low inventory means you have to pick from what's left. You don't have much room to negotiate because the few sellers out there are the ones setting the terms. Or you could have a lower monthly payment, but not get the house you want, or have a slightly higher monthly payment, but enjoy the house you really want. It's really complicated because it's often a battle between your finances and your heart. And when it comes to the house, we know that often the parent who carries the bigger financial burden, or if it's the mother who's the breadwinner and has a higher financial load, will be much happier to pay less. But at the same time, we'll be dealing with those who want a house with a pool, or in a great location, or with a nice view, saying, I don't want to give up my view. I'm going to have to speak from the heart. This is what we have in front of us today. And as always, we're going to break it down in this podcast so you can get a pretty clear and well-rounded view of what's happening and what our best advice is depending on what you want and the type of property you're looking for. As always, it's me, Gabriel Peroso, and I'm joined by YENITZE Molina, my friend and business partner, and also the Chief Operations Officer at Enviert in Miami Real Estate. She's working week after week with tons of clients, listening to what they have to say, hearing what our realtors are saying out in the field, and she can vouch for what the best advice we can give is. Jenny, tell us, what do you think? Wait, buy.
Look, I completely understand the indecision that consumers in general are feeling. Because when you go on social media, Gabby, the amount of information out there, so much of it sensationalist and pessimistic, is what you see the most. And if you're looking for houses, you already know that the only information that's going to pop up is about houses. And if you click on something that says the market is crashing, that's all you're going to see from then on.
Or you also see, there's another thing, Jenny. You also see a scenario where a realtor is up on the roof of the house telling you it's the best house in the history of mankind and that you should buy it because it's in the best location and has the best amenities. I mean, it's both. There's the one who wants to sell to you no matter what, but there's also the one who says it's the worst market, right?
Both things exist, and in the end, as a consumer, you have to look for information from a credible source. And if you're looking to buy in a certain zip code, in a specific area, you really need to narrow down the information to that area because the market in the United States, in Florida, in Miami, is very broad. And in Hyatt and Algerton, property prices might be going up, while in Kendall they could be going down. I mean, these are really two areas that are quite close to each other but move differently. So you have to set a well-structured limit on where you want to buy. That way, you can make decisions based on that and know whether what's currently on the market is a good opportunity or not. I was talking to a client about buying a property in a building, and I told her, you can't compare it to the building next door because they're completely different. One has the homeowners association inside, the other doesn't. One has reserves, the other doesn't. And the difference between the two buildings, geographically, is maybe 200 feet. They're right next to each other. So, the answer to whether you should wait or not really depends on you and what you're going to buy. It's impossible to just go by what you see on social media or the information out there, because there are a lot of people selling real estate information subscriptions, selling information. And to be able to sell you that information, they have to make it sound tempting. And to make it tempting, what they do is create chaos. So you can't let yourself be swayed by that. You have to look for credible information from sources you know are providing real market statistics, so you can make informed decisions. So, the answer is, to wait or not to wait. You already know, Gabby, it depends on what you want to buy. My opinion. Interest rates are not going to drop enough to make it better to wait for lower rates instead of taking advantage of any good opportunity you have today. We've seen properties being bought for $40,000 or $50,000 below the asking price. We've seen sellers help buyers significantly to get lower interest rates. So, if you want my advice is that interest rates are not going to reach 4%. If you have a good deal where you can find a motivated seller, a seller who wants to help you, take advantage of it. Not all sellers are motivated, because we've seen, especially in Miami, more than half of the units are being delisted. I've gone to see properties with clients. I've tried to negotiate them, but we haven't reached an agreement. I always keep an eye on the properties, and after 3 weeks, they're off the market. The sellers prefer to take them off the market, so there needs to be a balance between the seller and, as I've said, and I always say this, the price of a property is where the seller and the buyer meet. With some properties, that's not happening. The sellers take them off the market and wait 2 years to be able to sell, or wait a year to be able to sell. But if you want to buy, it's for your own benefit, it's going to be your asset, and later on, your added value. You have to do your part, negotiate wisely, with the help of a real estate agent. Honestly, thank you.
This is where they start calling me annoying, Jenny. But it sounds really romantic. Get good information. Seriously, get good information and make your decision based on business wisdom.
May I insult him?
That's as nice as reading your horoscope.
No, let me insult him, ridiculous of look.
That's as nice as reading your horoscope, right? So you're supposed to have a cheerful day, you go out cheerful, and then suddenly a downpour hits you. Where's my cheerful day?
Look, good information, I'll say it again, comes from a real estate agent. You have to look for Jenny, but the negotiation, I'm telling you. Today, you can negotiate. Next year, you might buy with a lower interest rate, that's true. But buying today, you can negotiate, you can lower the price, and you can earn the appreciation over a year. Honestly, in my opinion, and my best advice is buy. If you're qualified, you have a good credit score, you'll be able to negotiate, they'll help you lower the interest rate, and you'll come out ahead. That's my opinion.
Whether you're a first-time buyer or an investor.
It's the same.
And what if I'm selling a property to buy another one?
Look, selling a property, we already discussed that in a podcast. Selling a property depends. It really depends a lot on how much you need to sell. If you don't need to sell, wait until next year. Because honestly, nowadays, to be able to sell, you have to give in, you have to negotiate. Probably next year there will be a lot more buyers in the market, and as a seller, you'll have to give in less. So as a seller, if you can wait, then wait.
So, ultimately, it's about seeking advice and buying today so you can negotiate.
Seek advice. Sorry to interrupt.
And if I go for a new house, don't I get a lower interest rate?
Yeah.
So isn't that better?
The thing is, new houses.
I get the best of both worlds. I get a cheaper house. I mean, I get a lower interest rate and a brand new house.
But hold on a second. New houses. For a long time, basically since the beginning, or at least as far back as anyone can remember, it was unheard of for new houses to have the same or even better prices than used houses. But today, that's actually happening. In Sunday's podcast, you can see how builders like Lennar are significantly dropping their prices to move their inventory, and that's an advantage for you as a buyer, if you're willing to drive an hour and a half from downtown or from your workplace. If moving or going to those areas that are really underdeveloped today is an option for you, in my opinion, it's an excellent business because if the builders are giving you low interest rates, they're giving you new units with warranties, because as everyone says, new is new. I enjoy it. Buying new really makes sense. Gabby?
Yeah.
Are you asleep? This was your question.
I'm going to cut the podcast here, but it just cracks me up because Jenny talks and just leaves me hanging there. It makes sense. Now it's your turn. Keep talking. She can't set things up so I can keep going, right? She's just like, okay, I answered you. What else do you want? All right, we're done.
Okay, then let me wrap up here. I'm answering your question because it doesn't make sense if you're flexible. Here I go.
Yeah, but Jenny just leaves me stranded on the side of the road and, all right, I've already answered. Now go see what you come up with. She only talks about what I ask her.
Oh, answering your question, Gabby, new properties, buying today. If you're flexible about location, it makes sense. That's my opinion, and we've seen how a lot of people have gotten out, especially investors. They've gotten out of new properties because there's also the downside that since so many properties are coming onto the rental market, rents in those areas are dropping. So,
But there's something that bothers me. I can't just say that because there's a good deal I'm in. That's totally up in the air because no one guarantees me a good deal. No one. No one guarantees it. That's like me saying that since I'm a New York Yankees fan, I bet on the Yankees. I'm always going to win. No, because they don't always win. So what does that mean? I can't bet on or buy a house just because I'm going to get a good deal. And if I don't get a good deal on the house I want, then I'm going to have to enter the market at a certain rate. And I'm going to have to lock myself into that rate for 3, 4, 10, or even up to 30 years just because I have a deal. I mean, why not just say I'd rather have a rate? And when I have a rate, I'll see what the market conditions are. Because it's possible that market conditions in 26 will still be good. It's like betting that in 2026 there won't be any deals. In other words, it's denied there are no deals. No, in 2026 there will be deals, just like there are deals in 95% of markets. I mean, the only times when there hasn't been any kind of deal in this market, at least in recent history that I know of, was in 2022. And that was because of a pandemic that paralyzed the world, paralyzed the United States, and the rates that exist. It was the worst of the worst, not just for real estate, but for the whole world. So, how can you expect that in 2026? Look, by now. Because in 2026, no one is going to talk to you. You have to pay whatever they tell you. No, in 2026, there will still be motivated sellers. In 2026, there will still be beautiful areas. In 2026, I still have the chance to buy, but I have a 5% rate. Or the builder who's giving me 5% today, maybe in 2026 will give me 4, and so on, and so on. I mean, why think that way? That negotiation is something that doesn't exist at any other point in history.
no, well, no one here is saying that negotiation doesn't exist at any other time. In the future, the real estate market has always had negotiation. What you're saying is very true. Even in 2022, there was negotiation, but it wasn't beneficial. It was actually going up, but, well, with the little that was available. There were conversations. People, especially those who are eager to buy property, are waiting to see what will happen. And my big issue is that, in my opinion, there's a huge expectation about what's going to happen, that there's going to be a crash, and I keep saying it's all because of social media.
There's not going to be a crash anymore.
There's not going to be a crash.
Not even social media is saying there's going to be a crash.
Social media says there's going to be 25, not today, that there's going to be a fool.
Not anymore, not anymore. They've already figured it out. Right now, what social media is telling you is to buy. Why? Because nobody is selling. So there are thousands of realtors telling you, this is the moment, buy, do it, do it, do it. Condos are a different story. But now, at least on my social media, what I see the most are realtors selling the 5% interest rates with new constructions.
Well, the job of us realtors is to sell. So, you go online and start looking at realtors, and you'll see all of them selling. But really, if you look at the people who provide information, who give data, a lot of them are still saying there's going to be a crash. They're still saying it. The realtors aren't saying it. And in my opinion, there isn't going to be a crash. When people see, like you, a bunch of 10 people saying buy, 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 they say, that's just what they're interested in. And we've had people write that to us many times. It's just that all you want to do is sell. Yes, folks.
That's what's great about our podcast, because in the end, you do want to sell, and you just said it. I'm a realtor, and my job isn't to sell. My job is to analyze and give advice. That's why and you know this, Jenny Invests in Miami, have a really good reputation, and we work very well. Because in the end, this isn't about selling. I know that I'm going to sell at the end of the day, because people need a place to live. But what I want is for them to buy something and say, thank you. Not, you sold it to me, and now get lost, because I don't want anything to do with you since you sold me something that doesn't work. No, I want people to say thank you, because the advice you gave me was mostly fulfilled, and the consultation and analysis you provided was better than what anyone else gave me.
The thing is, one thing shouldn't exclude the other. A salesperson, especially a real estate agent, is an advisor who should show you all the information. One thing shouldn't exclude the other. I give you analysis not to sell you property X, not to sell you an apartment in Brickell just because it gives me a 10% commission. No, I give you an analysis of a property, telling you the real numbers, and in the end, I'm going to sell it to you because this is what I do, and that's fine with me. And sometimes people write to us thinking this is an insult, but I don't see it that way. For me, this is my job, and that's okay. I give it to you with information, and I give it to you with transparent information. These are the numbers. If you're looking, if it matches, if you want to make an offer, if it works or doesn't work, that's it. Selling shouldn't exclude analysis. Analysis is part of selling so that you can buy feeling confident, informed, and able to make a decision. In the end, you'll see the benefit 5 years from now when you look back and say, I'm glad I bought. So, really, should you buy now or wait for rates to go down? To wrap up, as we started the podcast, I know Gabriel hates the word, and it depends on your needs and what you want to do, and if you want to keep waiting.
No, I don't hate the word. It's just that if I'm doing a podcast to advise you and tell you what's best, I can't just say anything goes as the best. The best option depends on what you think is best, because in the end, we're not being 100% serious if people give us 15 minutes of their time and you don't give them a real conclusion. My conclusion isn't that it depends. My conclusion is that all the factors should always, always, always be analyzed. And you can't just pick out the factors that suit you on a particular day or at a specific moment. You need to have all the factors considered, and it's always going to be a good time. Whether the sum of the factors is positive or the sum of the factors is negative. So yes, it does depend. But watch out, it's not that it depends on your situation. It depends on many different conditions. And you need to have all those conditions in your hand. Always look for the information and have everything ready. I mean, today it's super important to buy. Why? Because you built up a lot of inventory and because interest rates are relatively low. But you need to know everything about what you're buying. Everything. Because right now, it's good to buy a lot of things. But a year from now, it'll be good to buy a lot of other things. It's always a good time to buy. And it's always a good time not to buy, depending on where you are. But please, information numbers. I said it before and Ginny knows it. I'm super picky, a real stickler about this stuff. Is the school really good? No, I don't care if the school is really good or just SOSO. What's the school's score? How has the school been rated? Is the area more or less safe? No, it's not more or less safe. That's not A. What does the police say? What does the census say? What's the poverty rate like? What's the crime rate like? Are there robberies? Are there no robberies? No, it's just that the roof in the house looks good. No, I don't care if the roof looks good. When was the roof built? And what kind of warranty does the roof have? And what kind of material is the roof made of? With numbers, I'll be able to conclude that I'm actually in a position to buy a good roof. So, don't let yourself be swayed by vague numbers. The SOSO, that's more or less fine, that depends. Well, maybe that's for horoscopes, and that's another field entirely. As realtors, you have to demand numbers. Tell me why this school is good. This school is good because it's an A+, and out of the whole surrounding area, it's the only A+. And they said so for 5 years in a row. This organization. Ah, perfect. There are 3 organizations that have certified it as A+. Yes, it really is a good school. No, my kids graduated from there. No, The fact that your kids graduated from there isn't what's important to me. Give me the number. The neighborhood is safe. What's the crime rate? How is it? Are people moving in or moving out? It's very suspicious in an area where people are moving out. A lot of houses are being sold there. But why are more houses being sold than in the neighboring subdivision? Well, there's a problem with the association. In the association, they practically go at each other with knives at every meeting, and people just can't take it anymore. Then I get it, but give me the association meeting minutes. When I read the meeting minutes, I can tell if this association is total chaos at every meeting and ends with people throwing chairs at each other. No, this association always agrees. They make good decisions, have reserves, they're doing things right. Folks, numbers, good advice, and that's where the depends ends. That's when you say it's time, it's time. It's always time, because when all the factors are in place, it's always the right time. Ginny, let's wrap up the podcast.
Contact us. Contact us. The link to our WhatsApp is right below. Nowadays, it's a market where you need to be working alongside someone with experience, someone who can give you the numbers. Like Gabriel just said, it's really important that they provide you with the numbers so you can be confident in the deal you're making and have someone on your side. Even today, there are still people who want to contact the listing agents directly, and I think that's more of a disadvantage than a benefit. You need someone who has a fiduciary duty to you. So, Gabriel, I have an issue with these words. I say, but my duty is to my client. And someone who has a duty and responsibility to you to look for all the information and give you the right information. Contact us. Click the link directly to our WhatsApp, and we're here to help.
That's right. Thank you so much to everyone who listens to us. Don't forget to like the video. It shows the platform that this is quality content and deserves to be shared. Share it if you know someone who is interested in these topics. And of course, subscribe to our channel. We have 4 podcasts a week with the best of U.S. real estate. Where to Live in Miami podcast. It's a production of Invest in Miami Real Estate. Total transparency.